Whoever thought French fries would cause the left to melt down so hard? They are losing their minds over this gimmick. This is a gimmick. It is a joke. Trump working the fryer in a McDonald's and handing out food at the drive-thru. It was an election gimmick. They did it to be funny because there's this story going around, like the difference maker between Trump and Harris is that Harris is a normal person who didn't grow up privileged like Trump did with all that money, and she had to work at McDonald's one summer, and so that makes her just like you and me, and she knows exactly what we need to do for the economy and the country, and onward. So yeah, we are that's just incredible that how badly they're taking this. I've seen one thing say that it was just a horrific choice, and then you have sources on the right saying the opposite. Some dude that works for Christianity Today is melting down on X because the hurricane just came through his area and Trump is out doing French fries, and he said, I can't say publicly what I think about this man. Christianity Today is a joke, by the way. Like, a bunch of Christians, they wrote an article saying that Kamala Harris is the spiritual better between the two. Seriously? You're as bad as those idiots that are going, oh, I'm a Republican and I'm voting for Harris. Yeah, dude, sure. You're a Republican. You're a conservative and you're voting for Harris. Sure. So my you can find this person yourself if you want to, but I'm not going to come up by name, but this person that works for Christianity Today, my statement would be, why is that Trump's problem that a hurricane went through your area? He is not president of the United States of America. Okay? He is running for the election. That's all that matters to him right now, is winning an election. He is not dictating policy. He is not sending money. He's not sequestering Americans' taxpayer dollars to go to these affected areas. It's not his problem. The left, they just, and yes, Christianity Today guy, I say the left because you are. The Democrats, thus the people who suffer from a terminal case of Trump derangement syndrome are melting down because, you're claiming this is Trump's problem, that the hurricane ravaged your area. Where's Joe Biden? Oh, he was on the beach. What's Kamala Harris doing? Oh, she's out campaigning too. She's out doing, Stephen Colbert's show, and she's out doing cringy sketches with former Saturday Night Live comedians. It's just, they have to blame everything on everything. If you have Trump derangement syndrome, everything can somehow be attributed back to Donald Trump. It's a trigger. It's this thing. It's like, no matter what it is, they can find a way to you can find a way to like to take a step back and let it trigger you. Like, it's like, just God, there's two things here. One is like, I don't really care who wins this election because I think that both these candidates suck. Okay, I'll say it straight up. I am a libertarian through and through, so whatever. Like, this is just dumb. And my whole thing with the Trump thing is I just don't understand this like absolute obsession with the guy, and the complete media, just the media's like drive to commit career suicide by lying 24/7 about him, then claiming he's the liar, when it's like, you guys are literally like just losing your minds over everything the guy does. But it's like, I would love very much for the Trump thing to end, for people to move on to some other person or enemy, but that's not going to happen, because I'm feeling as long as Trump's alive on this earth, and even if he's not elected, they will still obsess about this guy. They'll be going after the people that supported him next. But the problem is, if she wins, you're going to spell catastrophe for the entire country. It is going to be an utter disaster if she wins. Like, you think Biden's bad? Just wait till you deal with this moron. Like, this, we're screwed. We're screwed either way. She's not cut out to run it. And you know, Trump, it's like, I'm just over it. I'm over all of it. But like this thing with the French fries or like McDonald's, shut up. It's a joke. Trump's under the impression that Kamala Harris has lied about what she did for a living, what she did for extra spending money when she was in college. Originally, she claimed she worked her way at McDonald's to pay her way through school. And then the story changed to, well, I needed it for extra spending money. And then it was for a summer. And then she worked at Alameda, California's location, or one of two of them. Trump asked the manager who's been there since, you know, Kamala would have worked there, said she never worked there. I don't care. It's a stupid thing. But so the point of this was, because there is this movement. Sorry, 1 second. I got it. All right. There's this movement. Sorry, I'm still going cough drops here. I have to eat like 100 a day. This idea that somehow he was handed a bunch of money when he was young because he came from a privileged family. Therefore, he's not cut out to run anything because he's rich. And everybody knows the Democrats hate the rich, even though the rich overwhelmingly support them. They are the party of the corporations. But hey, we hate the wealthy. And when they say the wealthy, they mean Donald Trump and Elon Musk. But I digress. So they, you know, this thing is the difference between Trump and Kamala is she's a middle-class person. She grew up just like you and me. And what that means is she worked a normal job to pay her way through school, which she didn't even use to pay through school. But she worked a normal job, and that was at McDonald's. Well, there's no proof that happened. I read an article the other day. It said, well, her campaign says it happened. Oh, they couldn't possibly be lying then, could they? That's the definitive proof that we all needed. But so Trump's, you know, getting at is that, well, I'll work at McDonald's for a day, and I'll have worked there longer than she ever did. Then she can't go on the campaign trail and be like, well, I worked at McDonald's and he didn't. It was a joke. It was a joke. It was trying to be funny, and it was a novel thing, and it was something you should have brushed over in 10 whole seconds. But here's that statement from this person. I'm just not going to say their name, but Donald Trump is standing in front of a broken rubble of my neighbor's home's flashing a French fry certification pin. My home was ravaged by one of the worst national disasters in recorded history. He's making it about him. I can't say what I think of this man in public. Well, you're not allowed to wear a French fry pin, apparently, in front of a disaster area without offending this person and hurting their feelings. I don't understand, you know, it's just, he's standing in front of this pile of rubble, and he's like, he's there, he's speaking there, okay, to talk about what happened at the Helene thing. And, you know, he's flashing his French fry certification pin. Okay, and at least he's there speaking about it. Where the hell is the President of the United States? And where the hell is Kamala Harris? Nowhere to be found. I can't tell you what I think of this man in public. Shut up. This guy says, oh, I presented him with this pin, and Trump's like, oh yeah, cool. Like he somehow, it's his fault that happened. Either way, I just can't. The left is blowing their just losing their minds over this. So let me show you this thing next. So this is from the Maddow blog at MSNBC, titled "The Difference Between Work and Donald Trump's Staged McDonald's Theatrics" by Steve Bannon, because Steve Bannon, he knows the definition of work. Okay. As Donald Trump handed a bag of food to people at a McDonald's drive-thru window, the former president remarked on how beautiful he found the family in the car. It's like a perfect-looking person. It's almost as if the people ordering the food have been carefully chosen to appear in some kind of clumsy political play, because that's precisely what happened. Much of what the public saw, some of the images of Trump briefly working at McDonald's. Yep. They closed for normal hours because, you know, Trump's a presidential candidate who's already survived 2 assassination attempts, and he wanted to do this as a gimmick. They were pre-selected by the franchise and the local Trump campaign team. Like, okay, listen. Do you think that if Kamala Harris was doing this, she would not have done the same exact thing? Nobody should think that Trump genuinely worked at McDonald's and is expecting to, like, pull off that he was a McDonald's employee. That's enough for him to be just like her. It was just a funny thing he did, okay? And guess what? We live in a time right now where people like Rachel Maddow and all these other people that like to, you know, push this idea that Trump's the biggest threat to democracy and he's here to destroy the country, and like literally driving people to do heinous things toward him. What do you think a TDS infected person would do if they pulled up at a drive-thru and saw him there? I've seen stories of people that have that mental illness assaulting anybody who dare support the man. What do you think they would do if they saw him? Of course, like, shut up. Of course, this is what happened. Nobody believes otherwise, idiot. God, these people are so, like, the media, just, they think they're like, they take themselves so seriously. It's never been clear how he arrived at this belief. There's this another thing going around. Well, Trump says that Kamala never worked at McDonald's without any proof for that. Okay, well, where's the proof that she did? Huh? Answer me that. He's fixated to an unhealthy degree with Vice President Kamala Harris as having worked at a McDonald's. Well, just like she's fixated to an unhealthy degree on the fact that he has grew up with as a family of means, and you know, that he didn't you know, scrape together all of his savings to start his businesses. You know, you're not allowed to do that if you're, according to Kamala Harris. And if you do, you deserve to have all your money taken away from you by the government, because the government deserves it more than you do. Because the money that the government steals goes to help all the people that need it, right? Yep, the people that need it are not in this country, apparently. And the people that need it to go kill other people. So this is just some self-righteous, obnoxious, allegedly a journalist crying about how Trump's just he's taking the word work and he's making it a bad name. Oh, dude, it's just, God, I can't fathom being this dumb. I can't fathom being so dumb that, like, you're so blinded by your hatred of him in this, whatever this thing is you got going on mentally about him, that, like, you can't think rationally and logically about anything. You just have to find a way that he's bad and evil. You genuinely think that one person could be this just evil of a human being without actually doing anything wrong, aside from saying things you don't like? But the election. I can't handle it, dude. So, here we go. This is Kamala Harris's the Kamala HQ, which is just elite level intelligence of the people that work there. Trump's staged photo op at McDonald's is not going over well on TikTok. The driver was a paid actor. I was once the president. Just rev up the fryers, bro. Only job he's qualified to do. Drive-through glazing is crazy. The guy in the car was paid. Okay. Wow. TikTok is melting down. TikTok is always a bastion of right-wing thinking, isn't it? This is the horrible comments on TikTok. It was, I was once the president. Just rev up the fryers, bro. Just put the fries in the bag, bro. That driver was a paid actor. Wow, what scathing remarks from the intelligent people on TikTok coming up with slick burns. Like, put the fries in the bag, grandpa. All of a sudden, we care about old people potentially being president. Even though we didn't care, 2 or 3 months ago, when we pretended like Joe Biden was not old and not a problem. This is incredible. This is an incredible sample of how stupid people have gotten when it comes to Donald Trump. How just idiotic he makes them. From both sides. You can't criticize the guy at all. To the MAGA crowd, for the most part, without getting your head eaten off, getting canceled by the right. Or Trump can't do anything without having his head eaten off by the left. It is an actual obsession. It's very, 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 very unhealthy. We have a bleak future in this country if people can't get it together. So here we go. Going forward from now on, we're going to get to deal with people losing their crap over Donald Trump working the drive-thru at a McDonald's. Trump's in front of the rubble and in the hurricane area, making everything about him. Dude, get real. Cry me a river. All right, so we got Tim Walz went on The View today. Man, like, okay, can you comment if you know, do you know anybody that's ever once been convinced of anything because the people on The View said it? And if they do, can you please tell me, like, I will be shocked if that person's IQ is above 50? Because, I mean, that show is absurd. And, just, I don't even want to imagine what it was like having this dude on there. Tim Walz is a very sketchy individual, and I got something for you in a little bit here. He is a very, very, very much an extreme leftist. So just keep it there. Keep you on your edge of your seat. I thought this was interesting today. Here we go. Our pal Liz Cheney, good old-fashioned neocon. Democrats are very thankful that she's endorsed Kamala Harris. This means that even all the Republicans think he's bad, and they are happy to have Liz Cheney endorse her. They're also happy to have Dick Cheney endorse her. Yep, the same Democratic Party they were the Democratic Party back in 2001 to 2021, like when, the whole war on terror stuff started. That same Democratic Party is proud that Dick Cheney, the same Dick Cheney who, was the architect of the war on terror, that Dick Cheney endorsed Kamala Harris. They're real proud of that.
And so I think that we are facing a choice in this election. It's not about party. It's about right and wrong. And I certainly have many Republicans who will say to me, I can't be public. They do worry about a whole range of things, including violence, but they'll do the right thing.
Yeah, because they're the ones that you're going to be the
if you're at all concerned, you can vote your conscience and not ever have to say a word to
Vote your conscience, everybody.
Millions of Republicans who do that on November 6th.
They're not Republicans then, stupid. I can't, I just can't stand these people anymore. I can't handle it. It's there's nothing. I gotta be a nicer person. Be a better person than that. Sorry. I take that back. That they're not Republicans, Liz Cheney. Okay? They are people that have been completely manipulated by people like you. You cannot say you're a Republican or a conservative and you're going to vote for Kamala Harris. Then you're not. You're not. Kamala Harris is the antithesis of everything that conservatives stand for. Well, he's a threat to democracy and he's a threat to the country. And like, okay, really? You do realize he was president before, right? But he tried to deny the election. Well, he still stepped down. I feel like I'm just not in the mood to handle the election stuff anymore. I'm so ready for it to be over. So ready for it to be over. You know, Liz Cheney, a big reason why she's supporting Kamala Harris is because Kamala Harris cares about continuing the wars that Liz Cheney cares about so much. That's what it comes down to. That's the only thing the two of them, like if Liz Cheney was an actual conservative, the only thing the two would agree on, because the left has become the neocons basically. Wow, Baltimore is beating Tampa 27-10, and it's looking ugly. I can't watch the Chargers game. Looks like a banger though. It's 7. Arizona's winning 7-6 over the Chargers. A good game. Because you have to have ESPN Plus on top of having, YouTube TV and Peacock and Amazon, and you can't just pay for like one thing and get to have it. You got to pay for 1,000 streaming services now. But from an ideological perspective, like that's the only thing those two would agree on. If that were true, you can't. You're voting for somebody. Kamala Harris is historically been very far left, and you're aligning your values with somebody that is the opposite of what conservatism is. I see that all the time. I'm a conservative and I'm voting for Kamala Harris. Then you're not. You have no principles. Okay, you're better off just not voting then. If you're really a principled person, you're going to give your vote to somebody that's going to do everything in their power to shred this country away from conservatism. It's like, I think the political party thing is over. I do. I think it's the establishment. It's the establishment political class, the corporations, the military, the deep state, and one party, and it's the people that are rejecting that in the other. Because that's what you're doing. When you're voting, when Liz Cheney says she's voting for Kamala Harris, she's voting for that. She's voting for the war. She's voting for the corporations. She's voting for, BlackRock and Vanguard. She's voting for the CIA and the FBI, and she's voting for Homeland Security, and she's voting for the administrative state. And she's voting to, topple free speech, and she's voting for censorship, and she's voting for government overreach. Like, that's what they're voting for. So if you're really a conservative, you're going to vote for that. And also, I don't know if you all have noticed, but the left has gone pretty extreme to the left lately. Fairly recently, like within the last 10, 15 years, it's gotten out of hand. And I'm just going to vote to continue that because I don't like Trump. I don't like him at all. Okay, well then you don't have values. What you should honestly just plan on, if Trump gets elected, they're not going to let him do anything. They're never going to let that guy do a thing. And a president doing nothing is far more desirable than a president doing something. Honestly, presidential administrations, especially nowadays, when the only way you can maintain a 2024 era presidential administration is through spend money you don't have, spend money that's not yours. Let's just dig us deeper into debt. So, this was an interesting story. I don't know if you all are aware of what Tim Walz has been like as governor of Minnesota, but he's been pretty radical. He was one of the more extreme lockdown governors. he is a supporter of pretty radical leftist policies. And he did a really good job of indoctrinating your children through Minnesota's public education system. He's done a very good job of doing that. And there's a guy named Brian Leszczynski who is a activist type. And he's a professor of multicultural studies and or ethnic studies or something. I don't know, one of those type of things. And he was handpicked by Tim Walz to ensure an ethnic studies element ended up in Minnesota's public education system. This person, this fellow, Leszczynski, has some really uplifting things to say about America. Ready to hear them?
The United States as constructed is irreversibly racist. So if the nation state as constructed is irreversibly racist, then it must be done with. It must be overthrown, right?
There you go.
We can't be like, oh no, critical race theory is just about telling our stories and it's the United States.
What's it about, dude? What's it about? Oh, I bet you it's about, completely tearing down the whole thing. There was another one I want to show you. So I'm going to pause this and bring it up. Found it. This is one I watched earlier. I've been using this cool note-taking app called Obsidian for my notes in the morning. It's really awesome. You should check it out. It's kind of complicated, but it's really cool. And normally what I do is I just keep a Google Doc with all my links and stories in it. And I have two desktops. So my one desktop that had Obsidian on it, I put all my notes on there without realizing that I can't cross over to my other desktop without paying for the premium thing. So I ended up, I had this story I'm about to show you on there on my other computer and I forgot to copy the link over. So this is from a website called, wrong thing. From Thomas Klingenstein.com from today. This is that same, the context is that it's that same guy you just saw talking, same clips. Here you go.
And we're also sometimes lying on ourselves when people say like, oh, we use critical race theory in school. We don't use critical race theory in school. The first tenet of critical race theory is that the United States as constructed is irreversibly racist. So if the nation state as constructed is irreversibly racist, then it must be done with. It must be overthrown, right? And so we can't be like, oh no, critical race theory is just about telling our stories and divert. It's not about that. It's about overthrow. It's insurgent. And we need to be, I think,
it's about overthrow. Hear that?
And it's funny that they don't understand critical race theory, but they actually tell some truth when they're like, yeah, it is anti-state. You can't be a critical race theorist and be pro-US. Okay, it is an anti-state theory.
It's funny that you say that because you're using it.
Constructed, period. Right, like that's and so I think it's an interesting argument there, and that's why I'm a critical race theorist.
All right, so this guy is not anti-state. I'm just going to say that. This guy is very much pro-state. He's just anti-American. Because what he wants is, he wants this to become a central factor in what he would like to see as the quote-unquote state. When you are making this a huge part of the education system and you're using it to jam it down children's, jam it into children's ears and eyes, you're making this part of the new state. So he wants to overthrow the United States whole thing, the history, the system, etc., and rebuild it as the state that him and Tim Walz would like. This is a guy that was picked to write a CRT, ethnic studies thing, for the Minnesota public education system. so they can ruin your children forever. It starts in kindergarten, goes all the way through 12th grade. And it's, it's identity politics, and it's if you're the wrong skin color, you're evil, and onward. It's pretty heinous. And, Tim Walz is a teacher. His wife's a teacher. Now, I don't offend teachers here too much, but I've met a lot of them that are just not really cut out to be a teacher. I'm not saying that about all of them, but a lot of them are the education programs they go to are just kind of simple and not very in depth, and they don't really prepare you for much of anything other than to teach at government directed schools. So to have people like Tim Walz, thinking that this is appropriate when he's probably not a very intelligent person. I can tell just by looking, I'm just a bonehead. I'm a knucklehead, and I just say things that I'm not supposed to say, I'm a knucklehead. My wife says I have bad grammar. That's why I said I went to war when I didn't. So that, that's the whole thing with this, is it's just like, I don't understand, why you think you're qualified to do this, but the government, especially the Department of Education, there's a whole thing with this they're obsessed with this dumb Project 2025 crap, which, like, for the 100,000th time, it's nothing to do. It's not Trump's Project 2025. But there's a huge thing in there about getting rid of the Federal Department of Education, and the left is freaking out about it. Well, you want to know why? Because this is why. This is eventually what they would like to do. They want to control and direct your child's education from K through 12, through college, through grad school if they go, and onward and onward and onward. And Tim Walz probably has his sights set on doing this. This is not beneficial to anybody. It's not. It's divisive, it's destructive, and this guy claims here, he says clearly, this is the intention behind this whole thing. He wants it to be destructive. He wants it to be destructive. He wants to blow the whole system up and rebuild it in his image, because government is God. So someday government can say, we rebuilt this, and he made it in their own image, and it was good. This should be terrifying, because Tim Walz not only wanted this in public schools, but he wanted this in private schools, and he wanted this in homeschool curriculums as well, to make it a requirement. They hate nothing more when people say, they don't want the government raising their child. The government doesn't know best about what to teach their children. When parents want to have a say in their children's education, they hate it. They hate that. The modern day establishment politicians, they're just progressives. It's a continuation of the progressive policies that started way back under Teddy Roosevelt. And there's a thing about the administrative state, so things like the Federal Department of Education. It was born out of Woodrow Wilson's vision for America. He wanted to have an elite, an elite class, an elite ruling class in this country that was made up of experts, which we hear that all the time, right? And that's where we get our three-letter organizations like the FDA and the CDC and the DEA, these things. These people were supposed to be like just the people that knew how to do everything, knew how to handle everything, and they would be the centralized planners of the way the country worked, because they knew everything that us peasants don't know. So this whole thing with the Federal Department of Education, it just it's all about that elitist mentality. That's why they hate when you're like, parents want to have a say in what their kids learn. They don't want them to learn this stuff. They don't want this book in the library. They see that the mere idea that people, they're not trained in their crappy education courses and stuff that they're not cut, you know, that they dare question the ability of these people to educate children when they know what's best. They're experts in education. How could a parent that's not dare claim to know that they know what's best in a child's education? And this is the problem when you get a lot of people in it. They're not very intelligent. They're not cut out to do the job, and they're extremely, they're extreme activist types. They have, there's a pretty wild left-wing bias when it comes to education, and so you have these issues, and it's attractive. It's attractive now. So it should have been, according to Woodrow Wilson, who I think Woodrow Wilson's the worst president in American history to me. I can't stand the guy at any level. The original idea of Woodrow Wilson's like, we're going to have this elite expert class. Well, it didn't end up attracting elite expert people. It ended up attracting just kind of mediocre people that kind of wouldn't be able to do much else. People that really don't know what they're doing. People that want to make a permanent career at the taxpayer's expense, and they don't do a good job at anything they do. They just make things worse, which they clearly have. It's attractive to that type. People that are actually really good at what they do, expert level, top minds, people that can innovate, or people that can plan, or, really make a difference. Those people working in government's not going to be attractive to them. Right? Like, that's just the reality of it. And that's why these people get paid a lot of money, but it's like, oh, I'm going to show up. I'm inspired to do great things, and I'm going to work in government because I'm going to get there. I'm not going to be able to do anything. I'm going to have people working underneath me that don't know what they're doing. People that are not qualified to do anything underneath me, or above me. The supervision is awful. This is the issue with the bureaucracy. So the Federal Department of Education is run by these types of people, the people that are trained in, government mandated education standards, think they know better because they're trained by the experts. We've been through, we're through a few years of, we always get to hear about the experts. I am science. I am the expert. Come to find out, the reason why you're the scientific consensus is because you control who gets the funding for anything. So better you agree with me if you want to have any money and have any credibility. That's the same thing that happens with education. Who's the expert on their children is the parents who raise them, and not the stupid schools. And so Tim Walz will have his sights set on this for sure. He's an educator. His wife's an educator. They're obviously pretty extreme when it comes to their left-wing values. They both made careers in education. I can guarantee you what they'll have their sights set on if they get the opportunity. We don't know what Tim Walz will be selected to do, and I have a feeling it'll be education. It'll be up there. He's coach. He's going to be the coach. Joke. All right, so speaking of government bureaucracy, this is kind of a funny story, but also kind of pathetic at the same time. So let me pull this up. So this will all go hand in hand to bring this biatch home. Biatch being my podcast today. Okay, so I'm going to talk about Elon Musk, which seems like I talk about a lot, but who doesn't like to talk about Elon Musk? Even the people that hate him obsess about him. So Elon Musk says, this is from the Post Millennial article by Thomas Stevenson, says Elon Musk says the US government forced SpaceX to study if starships will hit whales or sharks on return to Earth.
We had to do this, SpaceX had to do the study to see if Starship would hit a shark. And I'm like, it's a big ocean, you know. There's a lot of sharks. It's not impossible, but it's very unlikely. And I said, well, you have to, you know, this is, I think, from National Marine Fisheries, one of the, you know, NIMF it's called. You know, they were like, well, you have to do the study on whether you're going to hit a shark. We're like, what? And then we said, okay, fine, we'll do the analysis. And then, well, can you give us the shark data? They're like, no, we can't give you the shark data. We're like, okay, well, then we're in a bit of a quandary. How do we solve this this shark probability issue? And they said, well, we could give it to our Western division, but we don't trust them. And I'm like, am I in a comedy sketch here? And then, like they're worried about the shark density data, like the people who hunt sharks for shark fins somehow getting their hands on this shark data. And so eventually, I think we got the data, and we could run the analysis to say, like, yeah, the sharks are going to be fine. But they wouldn't let us proceed with launch until we did this crazy shark data. And then we thought, okay, now we're done. And they said, but what about whales? I'm like, when you look at a picture of the Pacific, what percentage of the surface area of the Pacific do you see as whale? Because I look at a picture, I don't see any, it's like, you can't, where's a whale?
So, there you have it. This is the insanity that is the bureaucracy of our United States government, where you can't get approved to be the only major, be one of the only major privately funded space programs with your sights set on space exploration, to have future places for humanity to expand. You can't do that unless you perform studies on whether you're going to hit a shark on the return to Earth or a whale. You can't make it up. You can't make, this is the insanity this has become. This is not just space problems. It's not just it's this, our government hyper regulates everything. It's so ridiculous. So what happens with these, with the overregulation, is you need people to ensure regulations are being met. So you add to, like the thing I just said, the bureaucracy. You add people that will go out and inspect and go out and cite people for violations. And what are they doing? They're doing nothing but they're holding people back from actually doing things that matter, from actually producing things, from actually innovating, from actually, helping humanity survive into the future. And so you have a huge chunk of the workforce that eats up taxpayer dollars to do nothing productive, and then they go out and they hold back people from being productive. They make you do this. How many countless hours were tied up in doing studies about hitting a shark and a whale on the way in from space, hitting the Pacific Ocean with a spacecraft? All that money that could have been paid to produce something that actually mattered, you're going to just tie it up in stuff like this. Incredible. Just incredible. Your government is so big and so bloated and so cumbersome. You wonder why not only do we have inflation like you wouldn't believe, but you also have to wonder, why are we not excelling as a nation of producers anymore? And it's very, 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 very hard to, produce anything nowadays without getting. Not only do you have the government breathing on your back about all these regulations, then you have to deal with the IRS. They will come after you hard for anything that they can. You want to make money as a small business owner? Oh, better not screw that up. They will ruin your life and your business because you're not allowed to make money without the government making their money first. Go vote for Kamala Harris. Do it. Now listen, Trump's not any better. Trump's whole thing was, I'm gonna drain the swamp, right? But at least he's kind of talking about, cutting the size of federal government. He's talking about holding them accountable. Will an accountability board make a difference? Probably not. Because we don't need more accountability. We need the government to be slashed by a massive percentage, like they did in Argentina. But having somebody at least understand that these issues are happening is far better than Democrats in office and establishment politicians who just don't care. They feel like because you elected them, they are at liberty just to spend as much government money as they feel like. They don't care about future repercussions at all. And because they don't have to. But you hear all the time how the rich need to pay their fair share. Yeah? Do they? Who's the rich? What's the richest thing in the face of the earth? The government. Does the government pay their fair share of anything? Oh no, they don't, because they don't, make any money. Sorry. Chewing a cough drop. All right. Now. Sorry. I didn't want to chew that in the microphone too much. Man, the coffee's so hot. Holy crap. This may be gross, but I met coffee. I drink coffee all day. This little travel mug guy was with me all the time. Sipping it all day long. So I make coffee. I buy coffee that, I buy like a brand of coffee I really like. It's not cheap, right? So I don't want to waste it. So I make a pot and I will just kind of sip this all day. And when it gets cold, I just dump it in a saucepan and reheat it. I do that all day. Like I'll do it several times a day. So I have a bad habit of when I pour it into a saucepan, it's a pot on the stove. I forget about it because of my ADHD brain, like goes and gets involved in other projects and things. And I'll like almost always boil the crap out of it, which drives my wife nuts. She's always like, put a timer on. And then I forget to put a timer on. But, so I boiled that coffee and it's still hot. I've been recording for 50 minutes and I still can't even drink it. I've had the top off and the window open and it's still like, I still can't drink it. It's like drinking freaking magma. All right. Last couple stories continue about Elon Musk. Now, Musk had that shark story is amazing, but also it just shows how ridiculous the federal government is with regulations. This is another story for another day, I guess now, but it was the whole thing with about Fani Willis and the pre-planned takedown of Trump, or attempted takedown. So here we go. We get Elon Musk offering $1 million daily prize for signing his petition, according to the Wall Street Journal from the 19th by Tim Hanrahan. Elon Musk has spent a lot of money to start the America PAC. And he's having people sign a petition pledging support for free speech and the Second Amendment. And what he's done to do in Pennsylvania specifically, he's done it in some swing states like Michigan. So Baltimore just scored another touchdown. So I play fantasy football every year, and I'm having a terrible fantasy football year in all my leagues, just awful. Like I draft Tyreek Hill, Tua gets cut, onward, and like I could have drafted Derrick Henry, and I'm like, nah, there's no way Derrick Henry's going to be good this year. He's too old. He's been playing at such a high level for such a long time. As a running back, you can't do that. Well, he's having like the year, like a career year at this point in his career. And tonight he has 169 yards rushing, and he just scored a touchdown. Or is it a receiving touchdown? It doesn't matter. This is crazy. Yeah, he has a receiving touchdown now. And Lamar Jackson has 5 passing touchdowns. Nuts, dude. Nuts. I was kind of hoping John Harbaugh would do bad enough that he would get fired, and then he would have to come to Michigan to be the head coach, because Jim bailed. But anyways, okay, so Elon Musk is offering a $1 million daily sweepstakes for Pennsylvania voters who sign his petition, and in Michigan and a couple other swing states you can get it's like $45. Some of them are offering $100. He spent about $75 million to get this pack going, and he is he's done a good job drumming up support. Now the problem now is, according to this article, there are laws that it's a federal crime to pay people with the intention of inducing or rewarding them to cast a vote or to get registered. It's an offense punishable by prison time. Now, the prohibition covers not only monetary expenditures, but anything like of monetary value, like liquor, lottery, chances, and welfare benefits. Well, we've never done that. We totally don't entice people with benefits, all the time. But this is not Elon Musk having people sign a petition promising to vote for anybody. It's him having them sign a petition to ensure their support of free speech and Second Amendment. And listen, this doesn't guarantee anything. If you knew you were going to potentially win $1 million by signing this petition, they're not going to go in the voting booths with you. They're not going to watch you cast your vote. As far as they could, you could literally just say, "Oh, sure, I'll take the money." You could go and vote for Kamala Harris 5 seconds later. They would have no idea. She is a gun owner, by the way, and she supports free speech. Wink, wink. Tim Walz supports free speech too. Can't say fire in a crowded theater though, which that's not true, because that's not what the whole statement's about. But you're playing with fire, Elon Musk. He's betting the house on Donald Trump winning, because oh man, imagine how much it would suck if Elon Musk had to get rid of Twitter, or how much it would suck if he got locked away. I mean, the guy he's the most vocal free speech absolutist we have, and he is the highest profile, enough so that he could just give the middle finger to the EU and Brazil. We don't have anybody else in the free speech corner like that. I don't trust Elon Musk. I don't really care about that. Yep, he has ties to. He's for things that I don't agree with, but he's also for things that I really agree with, and actually he's for things that I care about more than anything. More than any other right on earth, I care about my right to free speech and my right to protect myself. Those are the most important things on earth to me. I am a free speech absolutist. Yep, including misinformation and whatever other crap you want to say. You have every right to be wrong about something, even if the only person that can determine whether the government is, or whether you're right or not, is the government, right? They can't be wrong. You're basically just swearing fealty to the government as your god at that point, because you're claiming that they are divine enough to be able to determine what the truth is when you are not, or we are not. So, you know, Elon Musk having this massive, you know, pull on the free speech ordeal, it really makes you kind of freaked out about what they're going to try to do to him. He's a Trump supporter, okay? A very vocal one. I already talked about this in my last podcast and in my newsletter. Sign up at Substack. Sorry, I'm not going to say the word. Otherwise, YouTube will not let me not let me have any views. My check out my links. Yeah, there you go. Check out my links. Anyways, so the newsletter and my videos talked about this. Wife's snake is going. Oh man, the game distracted me. I don't know what I was gonna say. Let me think. So, you know, Musk was the target of the California Coastal Commission. Did not like that he was interjecting himself in the election. They are not letting him launch rockets in California now because of it. He's paying the price because, you know, he has political opinions that differ from the establishment politicians who are not allowed to have open thoughts and not support any candidate aside from Kamala Harris. So Elon Musk has already been the target there. And, you know, they're going to come after him one way or the other. It's just, it's inevitable. And I think that whether Trump wins or not, if Trump loses, Elon Musk is going to be public enemy number one. He's very wealthy. So problem A for the left, they hate rich people. He's very influential. He owns one of the biggest social media sites in the world. He is a free speech absolutist, and he likes the United States of America. He is a very much a free market guy for the most part. You know, or not, I wouldn't say free market, but you know, he's a guy that's he wants to cut back on the bureaucracy in the federal government, and he's more so about innovation and, you know, things of that nature. So he will be a huge problem for the left. And if he ends up getting, you know, if Trump gets elected and then he does his term 4 years later, they're still going to come after him. Now, this thing with $1 million, it's like they are going to use this to their best ability to try to go after him. They will use lawfare to go after people that they don't like. We've already seen that happening this year. So, here, let me pull up. I think it was on X. Where is my X thing? So it was, what's that guy's name? Josh Shapiro, the governor of what? Oh boy. Josh Shapiro. I think the left is starting to melt. The Democrats are starting to melt down about Kamala Harris. I really do. I think that there's a problem here with running her. So here we go. So this is Josh Shapiro talking about Musk with this thing.
Governor, let me ask you about a development we learned about overnight. Elon Musk says he will be giving away $1 million every day to random voters who sign his super PAC's petition. You are a former attorney general. Is this legal?
I think there are real questions with how he is spending money in this race, how the dark money is flowing, not just into Pennsylvania, but apparently now into the pockets of Pennsylvanians. That is deeply concerning. Look, Musk obviously has a right to be able to express his views. He's made it very, very clear that he supports Donald Trump. I don't, obviously we have a difference of opinion. I don't deny him that right. But when you start flowing this kind of money into politics, I think it raises serious questions that folks may want to take a look at.
So you think it might not be legal, yes or no?
I think it's something that law enforcement could take a look at.
So there you go. You got it. Okay. They're gonna try to go after him for this probably. Now, Shapiro's like, well, you know, I appreciate his right to free speech, and he's a Trump supporter, and you know, I don't agree with him on that, but you know, he has a right to express himself. But you can't have all this kind of money flowing into the election to support a candidate. Really, dude? Let's talk about everything that has to do with this election. Why is it that, like, what Elon Musk is like one of the, how many billionaires are even supporting Trump? It's like businesses and corporations and tech, and they're freaking all about Kamala Harris. And the money is flowing into her camp. All we hear about is how she's breaking records left, right, and center. And then there's that whole thing what happened with Act Blue, or where like donations were getting divvied up to people that were like, I donated $50, and it says I donated hundreds of thousands of dollars. There's all types of shady funding going on in this. And not to mention, Joe Biden had already accumulated a massive wealth of campaign finance money from donors that was allowed into the hands of Kamala Harris. Like, there is plenty of things here to investigate. You want to investigate financial issues? Why don't we look at insider trading from within Congress and the Senate? Go look at Nancy Pelosi and her, how she made an insane amount of money, insider trading, essentially using the power that she held. But no, they're not going to look into that. They're going to go after Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Like, we're living in a time right now where we're on the edge, man. We're on the edge of just complete insanity. And that's not, I'm not talking if Trump wins. I'm talking about the future. I'm talking about if Trump even wins, and in the future, he ends up, Trump wins, he does his term, steps down, whatever. Then we have the future before us. There's not really anybody stepping up. And, like, the trend will continue. They're going to continue to try to keep up the big government crap, try to keep up the censorship, try to keep up the hold on social media and technology. It's like going to continue in perpetuity. And, they're going to make an example of Elon Musk. He knows it too. Him and Tucker Carlson were laughing about it the other day. Yeah, he said, I'm screwed. He didn't say I'm screwed, but he said I'm screwed. So, all right. Well, I just really hope for the best here with Elon Musk. I really do. I'm afraid that they're going to be relentless, and probably what'll happen is they'll give him a chance to, get away from whatever accusations or crap they'll come up with, and they'll be like, well, you have to sell X, and then it'll be back to turning into a left-wing, echo chamber like it was before. Just like every other social media site. You got Mark Zuckerberg pretending like he's a libertarian now, and he wants to, get out of politics, but hey, one of my software developer guys said that no, we censor right-wingers and Mark's all aboard. I know that doesn't necessarily mean that's true, but I have a hard time believing Zuckerberg has had a major change of heart. So, all right, well, I'm going to end this episode here. Please like and subscribe and share and comment and all that good stuff. And if you could, give me a follow on social media. Links in the description of this video. And thank you for watching. I'll be back tomorrow night. If you enjoy my content, I am on every night, Monday through Saturday, most of the time. I try to shoot for 6 days a week. It's not a guarantee. Life's a bit chaotic. Got a wife, and I got a medical school student for a wife. Got kids. Wife's doing clinicals. I just graduated with my PhD, trying to find work, trying to do all sorts of things. Life has been insane. So I've been sick. So I'm not 100% like every night, but that's my intention, is to get up as much as I can. If you are interested in history, check out my upcoming podcast on Civil War medicine. It's going to be awesome. I'm stoked about it. So that is probably a few weeks into the future. I'm currently writing the whole thing up. My PhD is in history, obviously. I have a master's and a PhD in history, and I wrote my book on Civil War medicine, basically medical education in the Civil War, and I'm going to turn all the stuff I learned into a podcast. So that sounds like something you want to check out. I will be popping that up, and it will be wherever, same platforms you use. just as a different channel. So I'll link that whenever that's ready. And yeah, that's everything for tonight. Thanks for listening. God bless. Stay safe. Avoid the psychos. And, if you're a Buccaneers fan, I apologize. All right. Bye.